Okay, so Worm Arc 27, the start of Gold Morning. I mean, I guess the start of Gold Morning is technically the end of 26. Um, it has not been referred to as such in either Arc 27 or 28. I don't know if or when it actually gets named as such in the story. That might just kind of be the official term, like in an anime or a manga, like the name of an arc is like this is what it's called, but it's never called as such in the story. But anyways, Gold Morning is underway. And I'm not gonna lie, the start made me unreasonably upset. And so the way it starts, it's, Scion destroys the UK. He blows up part of Brockton Bay, part of the East Coast. Taylor goes to see her old home and sees it in shambles. Goes to through the portal, sees some of the evacuees and some of the people who have been hurt. She notices Emma's family, and Emma isn't there, with a very strong implication that no, Emma fucking died. Um, she doesn't see her dad anywhere, and she notes the way that people are looking at her and talking to her, and no one's saying that he's dead, but she's noticing all the pity and the sympathy, and it's like, holy shit, my dad's dead, which has not been confirmed in the story yet, so I'm not sure. But as this is all going on, Taylor is just thinking to herself, I need a hug. Like, with all the shit that I've done and all the shit that I have been through, especially these past few days, with everything with the Nine, and I've spent the last 2 years trying to save the world, and I failed. And then I come home, my queendom that I abandoned, and I see it like this, and I think I lost my father. I just need a hug, and there's no one to give it to me. And it was that last part of it. It's not the I need a hug. I'm like, no, girl, you do. With all the shit you've been through, you get all the hugs you need. It's her being like, man, there's no one here to give it to me. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of your fault. And to be fair, it's not like Taylor doesn't take her own responsibility for that, but I'm just reading it thinking, you were in Chicago for 2 years, right? You had a whole ass team there, right? Who actively wanted you to be on their team. And it seemed like they all liked you just fine. Golem a little bit more so. But it's like they all liked you just fine and wanted to be your friend. You're the one who didn't reciprocate it. The fact that right now you don't have anyone, that is purely 100% on your shoulders. And it just made me I think it kind of goes back to why I don't like Arc 25 and how I felt like it was just spinning its wheels. I wanted, because I feel like what it was trying to do is show that this is why it's so weird, because on the one hand I feel like it's trying to show the relationship with the Chicago wards, but at the same time showing that the relationship has no depth to it and really has no meaning, because Taylor's like, yeah, these are my sorry, really itchy face, this is my team now, and I like them just fine, but they're kind of whatever. And given the fact it's yeah, she was there for 2 years and she really never bonded with any of them. I'm on the one hand, I can buy that, Taylor getting way too into her work, but on the other hand, I'm I don't know if I saw her bond with the Undersiders relatively quick. And I guess the idea is she imprinted on the Undersiders, she didn't imprint on them. I'm I don't know, it's really? You're working with these people for 2 years and you just never really clicked with any of them? I guess me personally, I find that hard to believe. I mean, I guess at the same time, I've been in my place of work for 2 years and I don't have particular I like my coworkers just fine, and that includes my boss. Because I have to say that because I remember saying that to a friend of mine. It's yeah, I like my coworkers. Oh, I noticed you didn't include your boss in that. I thought I did. It's that included my boss. I didn't know I had to say him separately. But also because I work remotely and I'm not like there constantly interacting with everyone, I feel like, yeah, it's like I like everyone just fine. But no, I'm not the closest. But I imagined if I was like boots on the ground with superpowers, in these life or death situations for 2 years, you'd probably make like a pretty tight knit group. Again, it happened only like a week or so with most of the Undersiders. It's, I don't know, like it's hard to say that it's necessarily like a big problem that I have with the story. Necessarily, it's just, I don't know. I think I'm kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, and I won't even deny that. Like, it's not a big deal. And I think that's really what my problem is. Like, it's not a big deal. It almost feels like it should be a bigger one. And there's a scene in 28 that kind of deals with that, with some of the Chicago team hanging out, and Taylor goes up to them, and Grace confronts her about it. She's like, we were a team for 2 years, and like we wanted to like you and be close to you, but you didn't love us. Yeah, I liked you guys. You liked us, but you didn't love us. And you know what? That kind of hurts. I liked that. And yeah, so it was just me reading this and going like, Taylor, I need a hug. I need someone to be here with me, but no one is here for me. I'm like, yeah, that's just your fault. It's not that I don't feel sympathy for all the shit that's gone on and empathy for all the shit that's gone on, but for this specific part of it, I'm like, I don't know. You probably ask Theo for a hug. He needs a hug too. You did blow his sister's brains out. He probably needs a hug after that, Taylor, but I don't know. Sure. Sorry. I had to look at my notes. So, like, after that, or not long after, like, Taylor does she reunite with the Undersiders then, or after the door? I think she reunites with Lisa, and then they all go through the door, and then you kind of got the meeting, like, everyone is here shit. With some kind of interesting wrinkles. Bonesaw is now there as the only member of the Nine. Interestingly enough, like, none of the clones are with her, it was just Bonesaw. Dinah is now with Fault Line's crew. We have this new group, the Irregulars, which are the Case 53s, and Weld is the leader. And I've been thinking for a while, I was like, where's Weld? Dude, that guy was so cool. Like, I really liked him. And it's like, oh, this is what he's up to. Hell yeah. Oh, okay. This could maybe potentially be a problem. Oh, hi, Sveta. He's wearing her? What the fuck? It's like, I don't know. This is kind of cool. You've got Dragon and Saint just, or excuse me, not Dragon, Defiant. Defiant just being like, Saint, you're a piece of shit, and you're a fucking failure, and I hate you. I am going to kill you. You can ask almost anyone in here. I am a very, very stubborn son of a bitch. And if I am saying that you are my enemy, you're gonna fucking die. We got a lot of interactions about that, and they also start to... So I think before the Birdcage, I think this is when they discussed Bonesaw. And Bonesaw just gets this epic dressing down by Tattletale. Like, you see Gru and Lisa and, like, Imp just all smile. Not necessarily smiling, but you can see the satisfaction. I don't remember if you really get it from Rachel, but they feel the satisfaction of Bonesaw having to feel the weight of her actions. Of... You say, like, first off, kid, you're a monster. You will always be a monster. It is really hard to rehabilitate that image. If you want to build trust, you have to give us that controller for all the other members of the Nine, because we will never trust you otherwise. We will always think you're a problem. We're still always gonna think you're a problem. Like, you're not your own person. You're not this, artist. You're Jack's pawn. You're Jack's puppet. Every member of the Nine was Jack's puppet, because everything he did was calculated to control you in some way. Anytime you made a piece of art, Jack praised it because it's what he wanted you to do. You saw the way he manipulated people. You saw how he controlled his Nine, his enemies, the media, blah, 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 blah. You think he wasn't doing that shit to you? You are nothing but his toy. And now, like, your master is gone. And you just see Bonesaw go from like Bonesaw to Riley to just sad girl. And Taylor's like, fuck, I feel kind of bad for her. Like, I don't want to. I really don't want to. Fuck this piece of shit, but damn, I feel a little bit bad for her. Then they actually start talking about the birdcage. Like, okay, are we gonna, like, this shit's a problem? And Cauldron's also like, by the way, we knew this was gonna happen. Like, we knew how the world was gonna end. We knew it was gonna be him. Why the fuck didn't you tell anybody? The fuck do you think it was gonna do if we told you? You thought you were gonna be ready for him? You think morale would have been anywhere close to okay if y'all knew it was him? No! Like, I kind of don't... I don't begrudge them not telling anyone that it was him. But, oh yeah, so they're like, alright, what are we gonna do about the birdcage? Because there's some bad fucking people in there we don't want getting out, that, like, I know y'all don't want getting out. We also need them. So what are we gonna do? So what they essentially decide is Saint will step down from running all of Dragon shit and running the birdcage. They're gonna kind of curate a list of essentially the acceptable people that can get out based on their reputation and their powers. And I was like, are we all okay with this motherfucker getting out? I mean, no, but yeah, and like that kind of shit. There is this one bit. This is back in the Bonesaw thing that I really liked. There's this moment where she's like, yeah, I mean, I still want to use my power, but it's okay if I only use it on bad people, right? And Chevalier immediately just says no, and so does Defiant. And from Chevalier, I'm like, okay, like, he's the new head of the PRT. He's just a cool, good... I like him quite a bit. It makes sense that he would say that. Hearing that from Colin shows just how far he's come. Like, this is the same motherfucker who back in Leviathan was like, look, if I have to make sacrifices to kill an Endbringer, and for my own ego, but also to kill an Endbringer, I will do it. And if the people I'm killing are villains, I don't even have to spare a second thought. And now it's like, no, it doesn't matter if they're a bad person or not. I can't have someone under your knife. It doesn't matter. He is genuinely one of my favorite characters in the story. Let's see. What else do I... Okay, so it's some of that shit. Before you see the people who get let out of the birdcage, like, there was a good handful that were let out. I didn't write all of them down, like String Theory and Lab Rat, and although String Theory and Lab Rat were, like, kind of fun, the little bit they were alive, which wasn't very long. But before that happens, Taylor goes to see Shadowstalker and talks to her for a bit, who's like, look, I know that, I'm taking credit for you. Like, you learned from me. I'm the reason you're the way you are. And Taylor's like, I've learned a lot from a lot of different people. I've learned shit from Armsmaster when he was my enemy. I learned shit from Jack. I've learned shit from Bakuda. I don't remember all the people that she named. She's like, I've had some, like, genuine enemies that I have learned a lot from. I've never considered her one of them. And, like, comparing myself to Jack Slash and hearing, like, Golem compare me to Jack Slash, like, it makes my skin crawl. I don't like it. But being compared to you, it disgusts me. In this, like, primordial way. But as they talk, essentially Shadowstalker's thing is like, look, we're cockroaches. Both in terms of the fact that, which, kind of, I don't want to say foreshadowing necessarily, but I'm like, hey, that's the name of the next arc. And I've noticed quite a bit in Venom, they've said the word spec, because I've read, like, the first chapter, they've used the word spec a few times, and I'm like, hey, that's the name of the next arc. Oh, shit, sorry, my nose is, like, super itchy for some reason. And I've never really, I don't know what most of the names of the arcs are, like, as I was going through the story, because unfortunately on the audiobook, it's not, like, Arc 1 Gestation. That one might be. but they're mostly just like, here's the number of the arc. So I'm not as aware if that's something that's been happening a lot, but I've noticed it in the past few. Anyway, she's saying, we're cockroaches. Cockroaches are bugs, they're pathetic, they're disgusting, but they're good at surviving and they're good at scurrying when there's a problem. That's how we'll survive, Scion. And Taylor's saying, no, I want us to fight. You could help. Do you want to be part of it? Convince me. Convince you. You mean you want me to beg? No, I don't. I'm not asking you to beg. I genuinely just convince me. Make an argument. And, of course, her argument is basically like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, I hate you, I made you, and then attacks her, and then afterwards Taylor's like, let her go. Wait, what? Yeah, just let her go. If you want to help, help. If you don't, because I think you're a fucking coward, then don't. Whatever. So, she leaves Shadowstalker. I think she does tell her, it's like, here's the thing, though. If you're not going to help, just do search and rescue. Because if I find out that you're hurting people again, I am coming after you. Like, you are going to be my problem. And as you have learned, you do not want to be my problem. So, then after that is you get the people from the birdcage getting out. It's some, like, people you never met before. A lot of the cell block leaders. The Fairy Queen gets out. Marquis gets out. Amy gets out. I don't remember if we actually actively saw Canary get out. But you see in the next one, like, yeah, she got out, and she was, like, at the top of Dragon's list of, you should not be here. I'm so sorry. You can get out. Ingenue, who becomes, like, Chevalier's girlfriend, gets out. And, of course, Long. So that's what I'm super excited for. Which, something I need to bring up. I remember back in, I don't remember whose interlude it was. I think it's in Dragons, when she's monitoring the birdcage and listening to, like, Long talk to Marquis and all that shit. There's a moment where she talks about Bakuda, and how Bakuda died, but she's not dead anymore because someone brought her back to life, and I was like, wow. Okay, that's a fucking broken power. I can't wait to learn more of this. I'm not sure, because I don't remember if there was a name at the time. If she had said, this is the person who did it, or if it was just like, oh yeah, there's someone who did. Is that the Fairy Queen? Because her thing is, she collects passengers. Like, she can touch somebody and take their passenger, therefore killing them. But it sounds like she generally doesn't do it if someone is alive, with a few exceptions. Like, she killed Greyboy, the original, and she has his shard. I'm assuming that when Bakuda died, she took Bakuda's shard, so now, like, Bakuda's not alive, but she almost sort of kind of is. And, like, she has all these passengers and shards in her, so I don't know if she, like, is there an afterlife in there? I don't know. Like, I don't know how this works, but I think it was the Fairy Queen that brought her back. But anyways, there's a bit when, Amy's family goes up to her and they hug her and they look kind of happy to see her, but Amy stays with her dad. She also has, like, these really sick looking tattoos. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look up plot shit, but I gotta go on the wiki real quick. I gotta see if I can see art of Amy's cool ass tattoos. Yeah, those are sick as fuck. Her family leaves because they ain't helping with any of this shit. Amy stays behind with her dad, and Taylor's looking at this going, this makes me irrationally angry. I'm not upset for you that you have your dad. I'm just upset for me because I right now don't, and I don't want to confirm if he's alive or not because I don't want to. The fact that I don't know gives me just enough hope that maybe he's okay, because the second I confirm it and learn that he's gone, I'm gonna break, and I can't break right now. I'm happy for you. I just wish I was happy for me. So it's around that. Oh yeah, a teacher gets out. Around this time, it's like, all right, everyone who wants to stay. To fight. Everyone who wants to leave, you can go. Just, like, ask for a door. Door maker will make you one. So a bunch of people leave. I think like yeah, Amy and her crew, which included Long, they left. Some of the Birdcage members stayed. Fairy Queens, like Glastiquinier, that's how I've heard it pronounced. I don't know if that's correct. But so she and Taylor have a conversation. She kind of explains how her shit works. Like, yeah, you're the queen administrator. We're both queens. We all have our roles to play. You know, like I see this as a play. We're all performers on a stage, and Scion is both our audience as well as our director. He is our creator. He is our destroyer. But what do you see Dr. Mother as? Oh, she's a prop. A prop? I don't know. I mean, she doesn't have powers, but I thought she'd be more important than that. Props are incredibly important, my dear. Excalibur. The Holy Grail. The Fire Emblem! Sorry, just thought of Engage. You're the last emblem! The Fire Emblem! It's like, yeah, like, just because someone's a prop doesn't mean they're not incredibly fucking important. They got that conversation. Taylor's not sure how much she trusts her. She's talking to the Undersiders, and Rachel's like, look, dude, I can't fucking help. You think my dog's gonna be able to get up there? I'm sorry, I can't help. I gotta leave. And it's like, dude, my power ain't doing shit either. Peace. Foil stays to fight. I think Parian left, because I don't think she was in this fight. And Taylor convinces Gru to stay. And he's like, I don't know, do you think I'd be helpful? I do. Okay, I'll stay. And the moment I read that, I was like, oh no. Oh, no, 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 no. What I was envisioning is there's gonna be a moment where, like, some shit happens, shit goes down, you don't know who's okay, and you're gonna see the Fairy Queen, and she's gonna use, like, her shards, and one of them is gonna be Gru, and that's how you know Gru died. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. And it did. If you read this, you know it didn't happen with Gru. It happened with someone else, and I'll get to that in a second. But boy, that one got me. I didn't cry. I have not yet cried reading Worm. I want to, though. I can't wait for the moment where the story makes me cry, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe when I read Ward, I'll be like, dude, I can't handle this. This one's the Muffled alternative. But, let's see. Let me get back to my notes. Yeah, so just a couple other things that happen. They talk about how Defiant and Tattletale are kind of taking over Dragon's role now that Saint is stepping down from it. Part of Amy's job is she's overseeing Bonesaw because as they're both... I mean, Bonesaw is, I guess, technically a healer, but the human body tinker compared to, like, the healer... She's the only one who can actually tell if Bonesaw is fucked with someone or not, and I love that. It's just... like, I'm just... When Bonesaw sees her, waves to her, and, like, runs up, I can just feel Amy's... Oh, no. Not you. It was kind of amazing. It's time for the fight. And when, like, a lot of shit just doesn't work on Scion. Taylor notes that clones and copying and all that shit, it does work. Like, it does distract him, and it seems to piss him off. And there's this moment where he just appears in front of everybody, and she notes, like, I can feel his bloodlust. Not necessarily in that, like, I'm going to kill you all. But, like, he's enjoying this. He's enjoying the fight. He's enjoying our fear of him. Fuck. And then Scion basically uses, like, the way I imagined it was, like, Vegeta's final explosion, except he survives, so I guess that's the final explosion Vegeta used on Toppo. And just fucking killed people. Taylor got cut in half. She survived because Labrat put some shit on people like that would heal them and fix them up, but she barely lives, but she does. She gets to talk to Weld for a bit. She watches the Fairy Queen and Eidolon fight Scion. She sees Clock Blocker as one of her shards. And that was, like, it wasn't Gru, it was Dennis. And I was like, fuck! Man, like, I knew he was gonna die. It was like, I know at some point, like, I like this dude. Like, he's so cool. He's got one of my favorite powers. I love his character. He's gonna die at some point. And I wasn't emotionally ready. Like, I literally, like, woke up that morning. I was like, okay. What day was that? I don't think I had work that day, but I was like, I woke up and was like, all right, I got shit I gotta do. No, I did have work, because that was yesterday, wasn't it? No, that was. Sorry, I'm really getting my wires crossed in my days. Anyways, I woke up and I was like, I'm finished. I'm like, gonna read more Worm like first thing in the morning. It's like one of the first things that happened was I had my heart broken. But that happened. Taylor nearly dies. Like she starts drowning, but then a door opens before Glastic Winier can claim her, and that's how that her part of the story ends. Then you get the interludes. Because there's technically two of them, even if the second one is only 4 words. So the primary one is Eidolon. And it's essentially him. He is always, like, I guess, like, he was heavily disabled. I didn't exactly catch what it was. I don't remember if they said it. But his parents, like, were very protective of him. There's a lot of things he couldn't do on his own. So he always wanted to be independent and he wanted to be able to save people. Eidolon takes a lot of pride in all the lives he saved. Like, I've probably saved more people than anyone else. Like, aside from Scion and the Endbringers, I am the most powerful being on the planet, and I use it for good. I understand. As part of Cauldron, like, there's some. My hands aren't exactly clean, but I'm doing it for the right reasons, and because it's for the right reasons, it's all okay. It's all okay. There's almost a little bit of Taylor in there. You know, like I've always wanted to be a good person. I take pride in the people I've helped. I don't have clean hands, but they're clean enough for me. And he also just talks about his failing powers and like, yeah, like I'm running out, I'm running low. And he's talking to Glastic Winier, who keeps referring to him as the High Priest. He's like, I don't get it. The fuck are you saying? He's like, you have to open your eyes. What does that mean? I don't like repeating myself, High Priest. So he gets a power, like, lets him see passengers. He sees all, like, the connections between other people, and it kind of starts to fill his well back up. And for the first time in years, he feels invigorated. Like, he's got this opponent that he can face, that he needs to face and needs to beat. And he's getting these powers that he needs, because that's what his power does. It gives him what he needs. And Scion starts running from him like to multiple realities, and Eidolon and the Fairy Queen start chasing his ass to different realities and beating his ass. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is one of those scenes where I 1000% think that like, if Worm were adapted, it would have to be an animation. Like, you could, of course, do this in live action, but I'm just imagining how this would look, and it looks incredible in my head. Like, holy shit. And then just boom, boom, like, I'm following him, I'm doing damage. I can actually hurt him. I can win. I can save us. And he is riding high. And then as he goes to follow him again, Scion just stops. And he stops, and he looks this man into the windows of his fucking soul. And they note that Scion's like using Scion seems genuinely afraid, and he's using a power that seems to age him quite a bit. Or I think it's like how the Fairy Queen describes it. It's like when he uses some of his powers, like it takes some of his lifespan, or I don't remember exactly how she phrased it, but something kind of like that. Like it takes away some of his years. The one he just used took a lot out of him to be able to use it. And as we kind of get a bit in 28, he used Contessa's to be able to see this is how I need. And I just kind of thinking of it from that perspective, it means Eidolon was genuinely a threat and was kind of beating his ass. And so Scion's like, okay, how do I win? Got it. And he says 4 words to him. And after hearing those 4 words, all the fight is gone from Eidolon. And he just stands there, defeated, and Scion Hawkeyes his ass like he was fucking Beerus, and Eidolon is dead. And Fairy Queen gets the fuck out of there. Then you get the second interlude, the addendum, which is the 4 words. You needed worthy opponents. And I'm very, very torn on these 4 words. Because I understand what they mean. And also, reading Arc 28, I'm like, okay, I understand what they mean. But I'm thinking of, like, the logistics of it. And, like, okay, how does this actually work? Because I said before, my theory is that Scion is a passenger and essentially was kind of spot on. He's like the passenger. And that the Endbringers were passengers as well. I think? Kinda? Kind of like Scion, they're like a collection of shards and passengers. But it's like, so, where do they come from? Do they come from Scion? Well, I don't think they came from him. But maybe they did. Like, there's 2 ways I can really see this. Is way number 1, Eidolon's power gives him what he needs. And what he needed were worthy opponents. Number 1, for his own ego and his pride of wanting to make a legacy and wanting to save people and be independent, like all that kind of shit. But also, so his power would fucking work and he could do cool, crazy shit. He needed opponents that could bring out that side of him. So, his shard, like the way that it creates powers within him, created monsters for him to fight. And when one was taken care of, it made more. Not only to replace what was lost, but because he didn't get the glory of defeating it, it kind of made more so that he could. That's kind of how I understand it. But my brain is also like, how did it do that? How did it make Endbringers? Because it's not like he was part of, but also he's the high priest, and he's like connected to a bunch of shit. Because his was from Scion's companion. So it could be that Eidolon has like more of her than anyone else does, which might be why Scion hated him so much. Like when he looked at Eidolon during the Leviathan fight, you see the disgust. It's like, the way I interpret that is like, you have more of her than anyone else should or anyone else does, and you don't deserve her. Or, I don't know, I'm putting a gender there. I don't really know if there is one. But like, you don't deserve to have my companion. And because his shard is like comprised of so many now that I'm talking through it kind of makes more sense to me. Because his shard is the high priest and it's almost like this all-encompassing, he could make more shit from it. I can kind of see that. The other way I understand it is that his Scion made the Endbringers, which doesn't seem to be the theory, because in the next one, Lisa's like, I think Eidolon was like your dad, even if he didn't understand that. But it might have been because Scion's whole thing is like, I want to observe. And I want to see how humanity works, and I want to see how they operate with shards, and I want to see how our shards evolve, and how they grow, and how people use them. And it's possible that because of the way Eidolon's works, and also just because of how strong it is, Scion thought, this is one that I can't really watch without a worthy opponent. So he took some more, and granted, it even says that, like, I guess not, though, because they specifically mention Taylor was the last one he got rid of before he kind of separated himself from the rest of the entity. But it's possible, because, again, the way I understand it is that Zion is, I don't keep calling him Zion, but it's supposed to be Zion, is that Zion is, like, the avatar of the entity, and he's, like, connected to it, but not really? It's possible that the rest of the entity made the Endbringers for Eidolon. Yeah, I think talking through it, I'm like, no, I do think that is probably how it worked, is that the High Priest shard, because of its connection, and again, I'm thinking because it had a much stronger connection to the entity's companion, was able to make those things. Okay. Talking through it, I think it makes more sense. Okay, I'll take that. And that's how 27 ended. 27's really good. I don't think I liked it quite as much as 26 or quite as much as 28, but it's more of like, okay, here's like a 26. possible double S best tier arc. 28. Definite S tier arc. It's the kind of shit that I just really, really like. Like, you know, like, alright, it's like the last. It's. This is our final rest. This is like our final chance before the final battle. And I mean, there's still a couple arcs left. I don't know if it's 29 is just Scion and 30 is something else. I don't think so. I would assume it's 29 and 30 are Scion, and 31 is the epilogue to everything. I don't super know how this works. Anyways, though, I don't know. Maybe after Scion they do have to finish off like the Seamer or something. Maybe that's 30. I don't know, but I think it's probably 29 and 30. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it's the gathering the final party. That's the shit that's super hyped to me. Like, as I was reading it, in my head, I would just be like, oh, Canary joined the party, Saint joined the party. I even have that written down in my notes. And that, to me, was super hype. It's why I read so much Worm the other day. I was like, I could not stop reading this and putting it down. 27 didn't hit me quite like that, but it's really, really fun.